What's up? Today I'm going to be talking about Splatoon 3. You'll probably notice I'm going to be very low tempo in this video. Kind of just feel like crap right now, but I thought I'd film a video anyway. Not because I need to talk about Splatoon 3 right now or anything, but I don't know, I think it's interesting when you have a variety of emotional states in someone's videos, Most of the time this happens by accident. I'll have some vlogger, they're just, peachy keen, then just one video, they just seem totally out of it, and they don't explain anything. It's completely up to interpretation, but it's very interesting, And I guess this might be an artificial variant of that. I'm just making the video even though, yeah, kind of feel like shit. I don't know, maybe I should talk about my feelings more, but whatever. Splatoon 3 is in the title, so we're getting there. Splatoon 3 is, as many have stated, not a necessary game, Many have pointed out that Splatoon 2 sold amazingly, has a huge player base, and in itself was very iterative of Splatoon 1, and Splatoon 3 is the same way, Not a lot of core gameplay changes, a surprising lack of new features and weapons and maps, and that is the core to the issues with Splatoon 3. I think the game's derivative nature, it doesn't kill it, but just makes it so much weaker. There's very little defining this title. It seems very scattered. All the themes they had a good base, the chaos versus destruction. They're doing destruction. There's that Mad Max style apocalypse board, not board, this is a Mario Party, level, stage. And then there's the beginning of the campaign, or story mode, which is very post-apocalyptic in its presentation. But it doesn't go further with that for some reason. I just, it seems weird. You have this theme set up. You can finally make this one different, it already has a different enough story, but this story has no cohesion. It's just okay, mammals are there, but really it's not mammals, it's just it's kind of like the way cats are integrated into Mario 3D World. Yeah, some enemies have cat skins on them. There's also a final boss, which is related to cats. But the mammalian thing, the desert post-apocalyptic thing, it's just vaguely there, It's not important. Also, I think this game is very aesthetic, very nice looking graphically, but I think its aesthetics are a step down. Not in terms of I don't know, because the first few games have basically the same aesthetic, the very colorful summer-esque vibes. Wow, this one is still summery in a lot of ways, but it's very realistic, I guess. The colors are less saturated, and that really makes it feel less fun, it feels more like a normal shooter, not a ton it's not it's Call of Duty or anything, but it's it's kind of edging closer towards both the gameplay models with the iteration sequel kind of idea, and graphic-wise to the rest of the in-game industry shooters with Call of Duty or whatever. And that's kind of disappointing. But of course the game itself does look great. The texture work is good. The ink looks crazy. I love the white ink in the story mode. Those are the best levels. I guess I can talk more about the story mode. The structure is very similar to the Octopath, the Octo expansion from Splatoon 2, the DLC. As in, you'll have a lot of challenges, a lot of levels. They're, you don't have to complete all of them. You just have to complete enough to unlock more. You get eggs that you use to unlock things. It's kind of a typical unlock structure for this kind of game. But there's a few elements that are unique. Particularly, you have this little salmonoid called Small Fry, and you throw him a bomb, and he finds stuff, and I don't really understand why he exists at all. He doesn't really add anything to the gameplay that a bomb already wouldn't. He feels very tacked on, and another like random addition that just doesn't feel right, you know? It does tie into the final boss, which is cool. The salmon theming, uh, I'm not going to spoil it, but I love how it reincorporates a part of the Splatoon 2 lore that I never even questioned. I just remember, and I didn't even notice the clever theming with it, but it puts it front and center right at the end of Splatoon 3, which I think is cool. But what is not cool is that there are no new modes in this game. All the modes are from Splatoon 3. I mean Splatoon 2, except for this card game side mode. But all of the online multiplayer stuff, all the core gameplay, all the modes are ripped from the second game. Which to me seems especially weird, because even Splatoon 2 introduced Salmon Run, and I think eventually Clam Blitz along with maybe another ranked mode. And for a sequel, that seems very dumb. Like, I know Call of Duty isn't introducing new modes, but like, this is only the third game. Like, I thought they would add more in that sense, which is really disappointing. Like, in Splatoon 2, I remember being disappointed in the same way. It was a very iterative game. The single player wasn't great. I felt like there was a lack of innovation, but the thing that kept me coming back was Salmon Run, this new mode that wasn't in the first game, that was extremely fun and replayable over and over again. And Salmon Run is back in this game. It's interesting. I don't know why, but I feel like I don't enjoy it as much. Maybe because it's more difficult. Maybe because I'm playing with weaker people, not weaker people, but people who aren't as good as the game because I'm starting from the bottom, ranking wise. But it just doesn't feel as strong. So in Splatoon 2, the way it was structured was every there's a 2-day cycle. For 2 days you could play it, then 2 days you couldn't play it. There'd be a set of weapons that you'd get every single time, and you'd randomly get one of those 4 weapons, and everyone would get one of them. And to me, that was a really good structure because I ended up learning to actually enjoy these weapons because you get to use them more and more, and something I wouldn't use like an E-liter or a scope or the goo tuber or something or the bathtub. I ended up understanding how to use them better and gravitated towards them, like I was able to kind of get a feel for the weapons. And in this game, it's still random. You're not allowed to choose your weapon, but it's completely random every single time. There's no set structure. You can play it anytime you want, which is a good change. I mean, it is cute that in the lore, have you can only do it every once in a while. Having like a timed event like Splatfest, that is interesting. But I don't know. There's some special magic that's lost. Maybe I haven't played it enough. There's a final boss, King Salmon. I was playing on easy, so I creamed him. I'm sure that'll be fun with other players. Maybe I just am rusty and I'm not as good as playing the game, so it's not as rewarding. But yeah, there is a new weapon in this mode, a bow and arrow that shoots a super wide range. And I think I'll get into the new weapons because there are shockingly few of them. There are only 2 new main types of weapons, I believe. There is the bow and arrow, and there is the sword one. I forgot what it's called. I think I don't remember what it's based on. But the sword, a splatana, I think that's one of them. But that new sword is a great weapon. I think it's really interesting how having a more physical melee weapon in a different style than the brushes and the roller. It fits right in. It's a great addition. I love the sound design and how it's almost like a chainsaw without, goes up like that. I like how you can charge it. I like how it's good for inking turf while also not being useless for like combat. It's really good. I'm bad at using it, but it's definitely a great addition. The bow, as I've seen people on Twitter say it's underpowered, and I just think I'm bad at using it. Basically, the gimmick is it shoots 3 little blotches of inks or 3 not thermometer, what are they called? 3 capsules of ink, either vertically or horizontally, depending on if you're jumping or if you're on the ground, which is cool. I think the range is pretty good. But yeah, it's not exactly a weapon I gravitate to already. It seems very niche, you know? It's like the bluebird from Angry Birds. Like, he's okay. He's got his uses, but he's not the fan favorite, you know? Not at all. I guess should rectify the statement. There is one new mode in a way, which is the tricolor battle during Splatfest. Occasionally, because there are 3 teams in the Splatfest, the 3 teams will all face off against each other. There'll be 2 on each side. For 2 teams, there will be 2 people, and 1 team will be in the middle with 4 people, and they're trying to defend the middle section. Somewhat like tower control mixed with turf war. This mode is quite fun. I only got to play it a few times. It is weirdly rare. I only played the camping Splatfest, but I do think that's a good mode. But I really hope when Splatfests are done, they, put it into the rotation somehow. Because, like, I don't understand why they're making all the new stuff about the game so limited and hard to, like, actually access. It's kind of disappointing in a lot of ways. I guess I could talk about the card game. The card game is quite fun. It reminds me of Monster Manor, that Street Pass game for 3DS. The puzzle Tetris aspect is very satisfying. Just finding that perfect fit doesn't always happen, but it's cool. The deck building adds a lot of variety. I'm not really into deck building as much as I am playing with a deck. I like the idea of random draw and playing with the hand I'm dealt. I'm not really into like building a perfect deck because I can get kind of anxious over like messing up things, but it's very fun. Yeah, it's a good little distraction. It seems a little bit disjointed from the rest of the game, as in like there's not really a ton of incentive to like seek it out and play it a bunch, but it is cool. One thing I noticed about the game, I guess this goes back to my statement about the game's aesthetic. I don't really like the look of the gear in this game. I think it's a little bit plain and not too super interesting, which is unfortunate. Okay, for this one, I'm not gonna cut anything out. Like, I'm too tired to open up Vegas or Premiere or whatever. I'm just gonna upload this raw. But yeah, this review sounded very negative because Splatoon 3, everything good about it, Splatoon 2 did. Those core values, those core aspects were already great there. They're great once again. The gameplay feel, turf war, the online's okay, it works. The core principles of Splatoon are still great. But this one, I feel like it's gonna have no legacy of its own at the end of the day. And that's unfortunate because Splatoon started so creative, so with such a spark. And it's not entirely whittled down. It's finally gone out, but it's weird to see the series already stagnant, or not even stagnant. It's just revving in circles. It's stagnant would imply that it went somewhere after that initial impact, but it's just revving around. Who knows? I'm sure the DLC for Splatoon 3 will be fantastic, much like the Splatoon 2 DLC was great, the Octo expansion. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of shot myself in the foot because I glazed over some topics that I probably should have gone in more depth with, but whatever, live and learn. That's all. Splatoon 3 is good, but I'm glad I didn't pay for this game. I borrowed a friend's copy because, yeah, on its own, $60 for such a experience you could already, get. I'm getting into another tangent about, give us some new experiences, Nintendo, but yeah, this is very emblematic of that. Giving the same experience again, but for a new audience kind of thing. Whatever. Live and learn again.